go out of order on the, before the presentation, we're going to do items 1, 2, and 3 so that our students don't have to wait around, though they're certainly entitled to see the presentation. Everybody ready? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin tonight's agenda, I just want to relate the sad news of the passing of a dear friend of our district, Coach Ed Henselder. Coach Henselder began his time with the district back in 1992. He coached JV boys lacrosse and JV boys football. He coached until 2017 in our district, and there are many, many families who feel fortunate to have had their sons cross paths with this kind man who cared so deeply for those that he supervised. May he rest in peace. Coach Henselder's son Brian is a JV lacrosse coach for the district, and his wife Kathy is an English teacher at Woburn High School. Additionally, his daughter-in-law Sabina is a teacher's assistant at Silaswood, and she is married to Coach's son Ed. We feel for the coach and his family tonight, and we keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And I ask for a moment of silence in recognition of Coach Ed. Thank you. Okay. We have a report on graduation that we'll hear from in a moment, but first I want to go through a couple items of new business because we have some nice guests tonight with us, and we'd like to honor them up front and recognize them for their contribution. So I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. Ms. Nickwitz, seconded by Mr. Joyner. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Items C through F, the minutes and financial items and schedule of bills require one resolution for adoption. Do we have a motion? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Bronson and Ms. Meyer. Any questions on items C through F? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're moving into our new business. New business item number 1 is a donation from Girl Scout Troop 681. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Joyner. And this is a very generous donation from Girl Scout Troop 681, who has purchased a 15 by 15 foot Gaga ball pit. It has easy assembly and easy disassemble, and we can use it indoors or outdoors. And it is being graciously donated to the Silaswood 6th Grade Center. It is valued at over $1,000, and I think we have Girl Scout Troop 681 leader Kelly Zissel with us tonight, as well as Girl Scouts Azin Pineda, Haley O'Connell, and Madison Zissel. Are they with us tonight? All right, please stand up for recognition. Do you want to say anything about your donation? Or? You don't have to if you don't want to. That's okay.
Why don't we ask questions? Why'd you do it? No, tell us a little bit about whose idea was it?
It was all of our ideas. We just wanted to give back to the community. We saw that South Huntington, the school district didn't have as much equipment, so we wanted to give back to them.
And how did you decide to start working on this particular charity?
We all came together as a group. For the previous years, working together and decided.
Together since kindergarten, right for the silver award. So this was the culmination of that and heading to the gold award next year.
Anybody's, who came up with the ball pit idea?
Well, we kind of joined ideas because we all learned athletics, and we just wanted something that was easy for everyone, that everyone could.
Now, it says if it's 15 to 20 children, how many board members? Like, we brought it to a board meeting, like, could Sydney and I go in there together? Mr. Joyner? And see who comes out alive?
I think we should have a tournament.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So impressive.
Thank you.
It's going to bode very well when they apply to Wagner College when they get older.
All in favor? Any opposed? Very good. Thank you very much. Let's come up for take a picture.
We hate to leave, but they have a geometry test, so.
Good job, girls. Great job, girls.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much. Troop 681. We are fortunate to have another donation of school supplies from the Unity Church. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Meyer. This is a donation from the Unity Church of Huntington. It is a very generous donation valued at over $2,300, which consisted of 106 backpacks filled with school supplies. And I believe we have Reverend Saba today with us. Reverend? Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the donation? If you could just come to the microphone so the people at home can hear.
Good evening. So this is something that we've been doing for the last 20 years, actually. And we've donated to various school districts. For the last few years, maybe 8 or so years, we've donated to the South Huntington School District. And we're, as a congregation, as a spiritual community, we understand the importance of education. And we understand also that there are some students that don't have the school supplies that they need so that they can receive a good education, so that they can do the studying that needs to be done, and so on. So we have taken it upon ourselves, as I said, for the last 2 decades, really, to do this. So our members, most of them, gone to the store and, purchase the backpacks and school supplies themselves. So this year we did a little differently, but it's still a matter of us coming together to support the students in this district. I should also add that for a couple of years, myself and some members of our church community volunteered for Parent University because we saw that as another program or a program that was sponsored by this district, and we wanted to support it. It was a worthwhile endeavor. And we are supportive of the community and definitely supportive of this school district, and we will continue to do so, and we're available to assist in future projects and endeavors of this school district, especially under the new administration with the new superintendent.
Thank you so much, Reverend Saba.
Sure.
Beautiful
All right.
words. Thank you.
Good.
We will, yes. We got to vote in favor of it, though, first, so. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, photograph time. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a final donation. I don't believe anyone is here tonight, but I'll ask when we take it up. It's a donation of school supplies as well from the Huntington Muslim Youth Outreach. Is there a motion? Mrs. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Bronson. And the Huntington Muslim Youth Outreach has generously also donated school supplies to the district, and they are valued at over $1,000. And we're very appreciative of this donation. Is anyone here from the Huntington Muslim Youth Outreach?
No, but I did receive a text from Ymca, Halimi Modassar, and she had a prior commitment, but she is very gracious that the board is interested in her donation, and she's very happy working with our school district, and we're
Excellent.
super happy as well.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, Resolution 3 is adopted. All right, with that, we'll take a break from the new business, and we will go into our graduation report from 2020-2021. Dr. Murphy?
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to spend a couple of minutes to talk about what has gone on the last year. I'm quite proud of what was going on because the teachers and the students, despite all the things that they had to face during the pandemic, they still were able to perform admirably. They were able to excel, and we were able to show how well our students do despite the pressures put before them. So what I wanted to talk about is last year's graduation total. We had a total of 488 students enrolled at Walt Whitman High School that were potential graduates. Of that, we had 89.76% of them went on to post-secondary schools, whether it be trade school, four-year college, or two-year college. More importantly, 65% of them went to a four-year school, either in-state or out of state. This was a great thing because this showed, despite some of the things that they faced, especially with the initial pandemic, we were worried about their social skills, being able to go out into the world, worried about having some setbacks. We still had a large majority of our students be able to attend post-secondary schools and that not get interrupted with taking a break off from school or just staying at home and not pursuing a degree further than high school.
John?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if you have to answer this. As a result, was there any impact from COVID as far as the distance? Did more students stay in New York State, go out of state, or stay the same?
It's actually funny you say it because we have some of our go-to schools at Walt Whitman High School. Binghamton being one of them. Stony Brook's always been has been a one that we go to a lot. It's been usually within the tri-state area where we usually have, and we have some outliers. Last year was very much different. A lot of Floridas, a lot of Clemson, a lot of down south schools of that four-year colleges that went. So we thought that we'd be closer. We thought we'd see a little more commuting to four-year degree programs, whether it be at Delphi, Long Island University, Stony Brook, Farmingdale, and we didn't see that. So although there were different colleges, it didn't really translate to closer colleges. It meant most of them went down and said, forget the weather, I'm going down to the south. But a lot of them went to schools that were very far away and traveling multiple states.
Thank you.
This is what the district, and I know the teachers did an amazing job, the guidance counselors, and I know they're going to continue to do this, but these are the numbers that really I wanted to show the board and the community. So we are currently last year's graduating class, 64.5, roughly 65% of our students graduating in 2021 received an advanced Regents diploma. That really, what an advanced Regents diploma does, it tells the community, it tells the student, it tells colleges that student is prepared for higher coursework. They've taken an additional math course, an additional science course. It's really truly preparing them for post-secondary, giving them post-secondary skills and preparing them for the road ahead. And that really was something that was a true testament, because this doesn't mean, when you're talking about 65% of your graduating class, that encompasses everyone from E&L to special education. That means everyone within that 65%, there was a fair representation of a lot of different types of students that were achieving higher coursework, which was a great thing.
And that 315, that's the Regents Advanced plus the Regents Advanced Honors?
No, that's the 315 is the advanced Regents diploma. That's including, so you automatically assume a Regents diploma. It's just a higher designation. So 315 of them achieved, and then it was 459 that had Regents and advanced Regents. So that was the combination of all. which gave us a 94% graduation rate, despite, again, the restrictions and the limitations left by COVID. Just to give some perspective on what this has done, in 2015, Walt Whitman High School and South Huntington in general, because we do have students that go to out-of-district or out-of-district placements, we had a 38% advanced Regents diploma rate in 2015. As I mentioned before, that has increased in 2021 to almost 65%. That really is a testament to the amount of students, to what we, to the effort and the focus we're putting on students and families to make sure that they understand the importance of advanced coursework, but also the teachers. That's a lot of hard work and effort on behalf of the teachers, because they're really the boots on the ground, making sure that kids are motivated and continue to go through that. And like I said, whether it be another math, a science course, or a foreign language course, these are all the things that they have to take in order to get an advanced level designation. And despite we were on an upward trend of students attending post-secondary plans at college. You notice 2020 and 2021, those were the pandemic years. And even though these students faced a lot of obstacles from the pandemic, we still had 88 and 89% of our students attending post-secondary institutions.
The 94% graduation rate, that is were the students enrolled at Walt Whitman High School last year?
Mm-hmm.
And is that different from, like, is that considered the cohort, or that's a different number?
So you have, your cohort, so your cohort can be out-of-district placements. You can also have early graduates. That 94 is possessive of what graduate, the people that graduated from Walt Whitman High School.
And do we know the numbers, like, of the people who graduated last year who were there for, like, all 4 years?
You mean your 4-year and your 5-year graduation rate? Yes.
Yeah.
So you had 459 graduate from Walt Whitman High School. It was a total of 488 within that cohort. 10 of them were early graduates, and you had 12 of them, I think it was 12 or 13 of them went on to a 5th year, and then you had what we classify as dropouts. Those are students that registered for us and then didn't register for another district, or they just did not finish the coursework and they intended to either go to GED program or not complete their work or their coursework for a diploma. In addition to the advanced level coursework we're giving, I wanted to give some perspective on what types of courses we're providing, in addition just to a regular Regents course. We've extensively, over the last 5 or 6 years, especially with Dr. Murphy, you have Dr. Murphy working this, you'll have Dr. Corcoran. There are a lot of programs that we've worked on to expand within our science and also our social sciences field. So research is one of them. That came in about 2016. It is a 4-year program. We started with, I think it was 12 students in 2016. We're up to 64 students. In addition to, we started with just a 2-year program. It's now a 4-year program. And in years 3 and 4, they're receiving credit from Syracuse University so that they can come in with some research credits from that institution. In addition, you might have even noticed on social media, they just held a FRAG or Saltwater Reef Expo in the South Cafeteria on Sunday. They had about 600 individual brokers and companies there, a mixture where they were able, and our students were working it and making connections with some people in the outside field in the field of marine biology. In addition to that, computer science, we only had AP computer science a couple years ago. With the addition of the cybersecurity lab, we now offer cybersecurity, intro to computer science, AP computer science principles, and also cybersecurity. That program is growing, and we know just through statistical data that about 15 to 20% of all graduates at Whitman over the last couple of years are going into some type of computer science role. Engineering was also expanded, where we now partnered with Stony Brook University with our Principles of Engineering course, which gives Stony Brook credit. This goes in line with our robotics and AP Physics and AP Physics 2 curriculum, really trying to bring more physical science or physics within the science department at Walt Whitman High School, just expanding what students can take and the type of sciences they can take.
Do you get a designation on your diploma for any of these, like if you complete the research, or?
Not for this one, but research, there's one I'll go into where you can get a Capstone designation.
Okay.
But I will say, our average students that partake in the college courses, an average, and Mr. Blair would be, and would be able to explain this a little better, but the average student graduating that partake in the college credit is an average between 15 and I've even heard as much as 30 credits. They're walking into college with almost their first year completely done. And so we may not get a designation, but your parents will like the fact that they just saved about $60,000. So, you know, if they so choose. Yes, go ahead.
Question on that. Is there a tuition requirement for any of the partnerships?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
So depending, and the prices vary, so we partner, which I'll go into, we partner with about 6 institutions. It can range from $600 to $140, depending on the institution and depending on the amount of credits. So as Mrs. Ciapetta talked about, AP Capstone is a diploma program. We brought it in 2019. This was to provide students the ability to be able to learn how to research. Colleges felt there was a disconnect with students being able to do a research type of paper, being able to get first, primary, and secondary sources, being able to evaluate information, and then extrapolate that information and put it in their own words with, you know, and backing it up with proper citation. So that whole research program was brought in by AP. They called it AP Capstone. It was a 2-year program. You had to take 4 AP classes plus these 2 research classes in order to attain a capstone designation. It was in response to the IB programs and other programs that are offered in other states and districts. In 2020, we had 8 students achieve, because that was their 2nd year capstone diploma. Last year, we had 10. This year, we potentially, because as we build programs, they have to pass 4 AP classes in addition to the 2. We have a potential of 29 students being able to graduate with AP Capstone designation this year.
Can it be any 4 AP courses?
Any 4 AP courses. It's
So
4
any
AP courses in
4 plus
addition to
2.
the 2.
Okay.
These are the colleges you mentioned. These are the 6 colleges that we primarily deal with in terms of college credit. And as I mentioned before, those students that decide they want to take it, they average between 12, 15, and I've even seen as much as 30 credits getting when they go on to post-secondary institutions. In addition to that, we offer a couple. So we offer a total of 30 AP courses, and now with anatomy and physiology, 26 college-level courses for college credit.
So 56, really?
Yeah.
How does that compare to other districts?
They only offer 30, I think it's actively 34 AP courses worldwide. We offer 30 of those 34. Some of
good.
them will be, there's a couple of the language courses they offer. There's some distinctions with some higher level math. But I mean, in terms of the amount we offer an extensive amount of AP courses. We're almost to the maximum. In terms of college, schools that offer college, I don't know the extent. I mean, to have the ability of 26 courses to be able to get college credit for, that's an amazing number of college courses. And that's something that it's been a great partnership with Suffolk Community College and Farmingdale as well as Stony Brook. Those are really the 3 primary ones we utilize. And they've been very good about providing our students the ability to access these courses and expand on the coursework we're presently giving. Just wanted to briefly talk about AP. Wanted to show the trend. It's definitely been a culture change where we talk about the number of students as well as the number of tests that we've been giving over the last 6, 7, 8 years. I have to preface that 2021 and even 2020 were a little bit of an abnormality. 2020, the last 3 months, when just about they were about to study, they changed the format. They changed the ability to be with their teacher. They, in my opinion, gave a little bit of an easier test because of those. Whereas last year's test was a little more difficult. It still was. It went back to the rigors, but it was also virtual. So data-wise, we're happy that we had so many people taking tests. But you know what? It wasn't the years that we've had in the past, which I believe is going to be as an abnormality, and that kids will again regain what the gains they made in the previous years. But if you look just briefly, 2014 only 400 students and 674 tests, as opposed to 2021 where it's now 548 students and over 1,000 tests are now offered for AP coursework. So that really is, we're talking about a 40% increase on tests. That's something that we should be proud of, and as a district and the teachers especially, because kids take courses because of teachers. They take it because of interest. They take it because that teacher is connected or has shown that they'll connect with that child, that family, whatever, that curriculum, and that all goes to what they're doing in the classroom. I think that's up. Yeah, now we're done. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Dr. Murphy.
Thank you so much.
And this work doesn't happen without our superb teaching staff, so thank you, Mr. Callahan. All right, Moving on to our new business agenda, back to item number 4 is the approval of the 2022-2023 budget development calendar. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, second. Mr. Joyner and Ms. LaCara. Dr. Centimore?
Well, finance management is 24/7, 12 months a year. We do have to have a starting point as we, prepare for the next school year. So as we're closing the books in the previous school year and we're managing the current school year, we're now about to plan for the finances of the next school year, and that process will begin. And the calendar outlines it as such.
Okay, and that culminates May 17th with the budget vote and school trustee elections. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, resolution carries. Moving on to new business item number 5 is the approval of a license agreement with Scope. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Bronson and Ms. Meyer. And this is an agreement between the Scope Education Services and the South Huntington Union Free School District. It covers period of January 1st of next year through June 30th of next year for ACT, SAT prep. Dr. Murphy, anything else you want to add?
No, it's a service that our students utilize. It's been used in years past. It is a good program, and it helps prepare our students for ACT and SAT coursework.
And is it open to any student? Or?
Any student. Some of these programs are paid, some of them are free. There is a variety, but it is open to all students, and there are packages for students that may have financial difficulty.
Okay. So there's different type of courses
Yes,
they offer?
absolutely.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. New business item number 6 is the declaration of obsolete items. Motion. Mr. Nickwitz, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Dr. Steele?
Yes, we have 43 hardcover dictionaries at Stimson Middle School that have been deemed out of date and obsolete. In addition, there are 3 treadmills at the Walt Whitman High School that are deemed not in working condition.
Those go in the garbage, or we try to donate them?
I'm not sure what the replacement
No,
process is.
they don't work.
They don't work? All right.
I was just making a joke to Ms. Paparello. I said it's because I think I used them during the pandemic.
No joke.
Any questions for Dr. Steele? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Goodbye, treadmills. Next is the approval of agreement with the Huntington YMCA. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer and Mr. Bronson. This is a contract that you would be approving and authorizing the board president to sign between the South Huntington School District and the Huntington YMCA. This is for us to utilize their pools for our girls' swimming and diving team. Cool. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 8 is the approval of a data and security agreement. This is with education.com. Is there a motion? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Dr. Murphy?
Yes, education.com is just a service that we utilize. It provides some resources, needed resources to our teachers as well as programs. The agreement just makes sure that they don't sell our student information and that they abide by our rules in terms of instructional technology.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, new business item number 8 is approved. Moving on to new business item number 9, similar agreement, this one with the vendor Padlet. Motion? Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. LaCara. Same contract. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business item number 10 is a request to remain in the South Huntington School District. Is there a motion? Motion, Mr. Nickwitz? Second?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to return to exec session
Oh, okay.
to further discuss this one.
Is there a second for that? Second by Ms. Meyer. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we will be back. We'll move into exec session. Second? Ms. LaCara and Mr. Joyner, all in favor? Any opposed? And we didn't say it before, but we should have said, Mr. Nicholas, just correct me, the motion to go into executive session was to discuss a confidential student matter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we will take up item number 10, request to remain in South Huntington. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, second. Mr. Nickowitz. Any comments by board members?
Yes.
Mr. Nickowitz.
Yes, given the circumstances of this particular case, discussed confidentially in exec session, we, as a school district, as a school board, have the ability to use our discretion, and more importantly, I think, with that discretion comes compassion. Given the totality of the circumstances we know them to be, has been disclosed to us, I'm very committed to doing more than what we just have to. And when it comes to individual circumstances I believe are unique in this particular case, to use our discretion and compassion to help try to support a child's success as a student. And, you know, I'm trying to pick my words carefully, but that's how I'll leave it. So I think we should support this application.
Any other comments?
I second what Mr. Nickowitz shared.
Just if you could speak up louder. So.
I second what Mr. Nickowitz shared.
And in this situation, what we're voting on is, these are requests to remain in South Huntington. That means that somebody would be outside the school district's boundaries, so it's up to the board in those instances to determine whether we're going to allow the student to remain in school. This request is to remain in school for the 2021-2022 school year. And, you know, this is probably, I would say, a more complicated matter than we're used to proceeding on. So and I think the board has carefully weighed the arguments on both sides and has discussed this in executive session twice, and we have given this matter very thorough consideration as it deserves. And these are the types of decisions that are very difficult for boards of education, but that we're empowered and we must make. Anyone else? Okay. So we're voting on the request to remain in South Huntington. All in favor of the request to remain in South Huntington? Mr. Nurkowitz and Ms. Meyer. All opposed? Opposed too. Okay. The request fails, 2 to 4. Okay. New business item number 11 is a closing of a sale on 310 West Hills Road. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Dr. Senimore, you want to give us an update on what's going on here?
Yes, 310 West Hills Road, also known as the Teen Center. We now have a closing date last spring as part of the budgetary process. The voters authorized the sale of that property, and now we have a closing date scheduled for October 29th.
Okay. Any questions on this? And the proceeds of this, they go into, they'd be used for pursuant to the vote of approval for capital improvements, correct?
That is the district's intended use.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. New business item number 12 is the approval of substitute nurse rate of pay. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer and Mr. Bronson. And this is a resolution to increase the substitute rate of pay from $150 per day to $200, correct, Dr. Senmore?
Yes, and if my colleague, Ms. Pafrilla, wants to join in. Periodically, we'll take a look at some of our substitute rates of pay to make sure that we're being competitive. And this is an example of we're having difficulty filling a critical position, and I'll
Correct.
ask Ms. Pafrilla.
Most importantly, it's been very challenging during, especially post-pandemic, to fill nurse coverage. We've been thankful to be able to take candidates from our sub-pool and fill them in other job positions. However, our pool is dwindling, and we need to be competitive, as Dr. Sinamore shared, but also being able to attract other candidates.
And how does this put us in comparison to other districts?
Well, right now, we're kind of on the somewhat lower end. And what this will do, we'll be able to, obviously, like I said, be able to attract other candidates that can be able to work on an as-needed basis. Also looking at some of our recent retirees who may also be interested in this as well.
To be a school nurse, do you just need to be a registered nurse, or do you need to
We
like
require-
have additional?
We require a registered nurse.
Okay. Do you have to have school certification or no?
You do have to have special certification for that in order to practice in the school.
Questions for Captain? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, item number 12 passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 13 is the approval of an agreement with Western Suffolk BOCES. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Nickowitz. Dr. Murphy.
Yes, this is an agreement with Western Suffolk BOCES to purchase Chromebooks for our students. Currently, we have a number of Chromebooks that are not going to be supported. They're a little too old, which means we cannot update them or provide any additional, get additional updating of any of the programs or any of the functions of the Chromebook. So we are going into a multi-year contract where we'll be splitting up to get 1,100 Chromebooks per year for 5 years in order to support those needs, as well as the additional students that come in every year when we give, since we're a K-12 Chromebook district.
Okay. Questions for Dr. Murphy? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Recommendations for the placements of students by the Committee on Special Education, dates listed May, June, July, August, and September, and the Committee on Preschool Special Education, dates listed August and September. Motion. Mr. Nickowitz, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Any questions on the placements? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business item number 15, which does not require resolution, but is a little complex. You've been provided in your packets with a fairly lengthy list of possible tax exemptions that are offered in the town of Huntington, and we received a request from the town assessor to review these exemptions to see if we want to adopt any. This is really a discussion about how to proceed, because if we want to adopt any of them, we have to proceed with notice and a public hearing and then a vote. So really the decision would be, do we want to put any of these up for a public hearing? And we have a number of them. I won't discuss all of them, but these are various permutations of different exemptions. There is a senior low income exemption, which is applicable to seniors who make below a certain threshold. And there's 4 different variations of that. And then there is a disability low income exemption, which is, as it says, given to people who with a qualifying disability who make below a certain threshold. And then there are veterans exemptions, and then volunteer exemptions for volunteer services such as firefighters. Then there's a historic property exemption, a first-time home buyer exemption, and a green building exemption. A lot of these are, there are no applicability to South Huntington at the time, so meaning that no households fit within it. There are a couple, there would be potentially a lot. Number 2, the senior low income exemption, which allows a deduction from medical expenses. And then the senior low to allow a applicant to renew their exemption by submitting an affidavit rather than an application each year. So that's kind of a paperwork issue, really. So those are affecting the largest number of people. So that might, if the board is inclined, a place to start, as well as the volunteer exemption, number 11. That affects potentially 103 people, as well as the Cold War exemption, which affects 120 people. So those are the ones that have the biggest impact on the biggest number of households. Of course, when you grant an exemption, it means somebody else has to take up it. So the exemption is good for them, but then gets redistributed among the rest of the taxpayers in the school district. So with that said, I will open it up. We've provided this to the board. Any that interest people in moving ahead? Any thoughts?
I had a question.
Yes, Mr. Bronson.
On a few of them,
Yeah.
actually. Even at that, just out of curiosity. So for the senior low-income exemption, as you noted, there's 4 of them. The first one, if I'm reading it correctly, it sounds like if you have children in the district, I was a little bit confused. Like the other ones, I kind of understood the explanation, but I wasn't sure why the exemption would be other than just the low income, but if you have children in the district.
So this one yeah, it is confusing how they write it. So if you're a senior with low income and you have children that go to the district, you're not eligible for the exemption unless the school district gives it to you. So you're out unless we adopt something that says we're gonna waive that exception. Does that make sense?
But with 2, 3, and 4, it's not contingent on, so if you don't have children in the district, you would be eligible then for the other 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
those have nothing to do with whether the senior has kids or not.
Okay.
I don't know what the thought is on number 1. I would assume that they're saying that the senior shouldn't get the exemption if they have kids, because then they're using the school district services
Right.
more.
Okay.
I would assume that's the rationale. Ms. LaCara?
Are they children or their grandchildren?
Children.
I'm thinking I'm a senior, right? 66. My kids are 32 and 30, and I got a granddaughter, so.
Oh, sorry, to
But
clarify, it would be if the children, school-age children are in your household. So
Yeah.
it could be grandkids
It
or
could
your own
be,
kids.
because
Yes,
that's what I'm saying, 'cause I don't think a lot of seniors have school-age
You
kids.
could be Alec Baldwin.
right.
If they
said
do, they
what?
shouldn't pay any taxes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult
Oh, there are
anyone.
some, right? I mean, I know of one family, actually, their grandparents are raising 4 kids, so, I mean, it happens.
No,
but-
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, like grandchildren, more than your own
Or either-
kids.
It could,
right?
I mean, if you had your own kids, it would apply
What?
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, God bless them then,
Yes.
for 65 and older to
Yeah.
have kids at school age.
That
So
was
it
one
would
question I
apply
had.
to like grandchildren if they're living with the
Yeah,
grandparents.
as long as school-age children live in your
Okay.
household.
Okay, so it could be, okay, not necessarily just, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, that one's a confusing one because it's almost written in the negative.
Yeah,
No, because they could be living with their grandparents.
right.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And then for 16,
16.
have we already approved, so this one says first-time homebuyers of newly constructed homes. Is there an exemption for first-time homebuyers of existing homes? And this is just the missing link?
This
Or the-
is, yeah, this is just newly, so a new build, essentially, yeah.
But have we already passed one that says first-time
I'm not sure
homebuyer?
there is one for that.
And why is it only, why if you're a first-time homebuyer, would you get a credit if you bought a new home versus an old home?
I don't know.
I just-
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they,
Yeah.
I don't know why they decide to pass that. I don't think that one exists for, though, first-time home buyers, no.
Okay. And then
Yeah, I don't know, maybe there's something about, well, I would theorize that maybe it encourages new construction. I don't know.
Although usually, I mean, not always, but sometimes new homes cost more, like, it just seems kind of counterintuitive. I'm giving the person who's buying the new home the
Right.
tax exemption, but not the person who buys the
I know.
fixer-upper.
That's true, yeah, the newer home
It
is,
just
yeah.
seems, yeah,
is more
it seems a little
expensive.
counterintuitive from a tax exemption standpoint. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one, I mean, I'm not, that one doesn't, like, move me much. That one particularly, I agree with you.
And then my final question was for the volunteer exemption, is there, like, what listing of what qualifies? So you mentioned, obviously, a fire person, but I mean, is it, or, like, I'm volunteering right now, so like, does that, I mean,
No.
is there?
It does not we are not qualified,
Right.
unfortunately.
But is
I think it's
It's
volunteer.
like a listing of types of volunteers? Is
Yeah,
that what it
do you
is?
have that, Laura? On the more detailed one? It's certainly like EMS,
Mhm.
EMT, firefighters, not school board members, unfortunately,
But
or
there's a
librarians.
list for-
Yeah, do you have that?
Yeah.
But these numbers are accurate to 103 representing 2019, as of 2019, or is it?
These numbers came directly from the assessor's office in the town of Huntington. Does it say there, Mr. Bronson?
Do we have any that are in there now? Like, do we offer any of these now? Or
We-
It seems like we voted on something.
Yeah, we
before.
have offered a lot. I mean, we've approved volunteers. These are kind of like intricate
Seems to me
pieces
we
of
did
it.
Veterans, didn't we, at one
We have
point?
veterans, we've approved a lot of veterans, we've approved volunteers, we've approved some seniors, and we've approved some disability. So we have approved a lot so far. These are kind of like smaller versions of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
we allow it for disability low income, but then one of them is a deduction for medical expenses related to that, so,
So the ones that we've approved, are they still in effect?
yes.
Okay, so these are additional, because I know we voted on these things before. These are additional ones?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Or it would, like on number 2, allows a deduction for medical expenses. That might allow additional seniors to be able to qualify that didn't otherwise qualify before.
Because we didn't have the medical exemption.
Right, so they
Okay.
wouldn't be able to, this would allow them to deduct their medical expenses, and so maybe
Okay.
otherwise
they'd get to the lower end.
they weren't they were not eligible at all, or they fell within a higher bracket, because on each of these, like, there's a sliding scale of deductions depending upon your income. And the statutes are written bizarrely and confusingly.
Yeah, and the volunteers, it's actually quite a narrow list. It includes volunteer fire company, fire department, or incorporated voluntary ambulance services. So it's really, it's a very limited
narrow,
as
okay.
far as, what voluntary qualifies.
Yeah, I would argue school board members should qualify, but that's outside my purview, right? Any thoughts on any of these that move you? That, I know there's a long list, you know. I mean, some of them, like I said, we give senior low income, we give disabled low income, we give veterans and volunteers. So we have versions of those. These are kind of different permutations of them.
Well, some of them also have no, either no or,
There's none, yeah.
limited amount. I mean, we can eliminate those.
Right. I mean, so, if we take it from the back, the green buildings, there are none. The first-time home buyers, there are none. We don't even have any historic properties in South Huntington, so that kind of would eliminate those three. 14, we don't know whether there are any, so there could be, you're not necessarily just allowing the existing households, but it would be if there's any in the future, so.
Well, for instance, we have the disability low-income exemption. Allows the school district to adopt a resolution giving low-income disability exemptions to persons with income levels between $29,000 and $37,000, with the exemption providing for a sliding scale from 50 to 5% assessment depending upon the extent of income. There's 24 households in our district affected by that. That means that there's people with disabilities who are earning what appears to me to be below poverty level. The average tax saved with the exemption would be $3,100, $3,120.
Yeah, that's a.
That to me, I would do in a heartbeat.
Okay.
So,
And number 7.
yeah, and number 7 is the same thing. So I would do numbers 5, and 5, 6, and 7, or, altogether, you're talking about, about 50 families who are living below poverty level.
And 8, we don't really have cooperative apartments, so that wouldn't,
Right. So
we wouldn't really
between
need that.
5, 6, and 7, we have people in our community living below the poverty level who have not just living below poverty level because they are, apparently they also have disabilities, so I would be interested in those.
5, 6, and 7, okay.
Yeah.
Any others? I'm interested in kind of the seniors being able to deduct their
Sure.
medical expenses.
Yeah, I would be interested in that.
Yeah.
Consider.
Number 4, if it's just making lighter paperwork and making life easier for people that are already getting it, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's something a school district even needs to adopt, because it's just a paperwork issue. It's kind of a bizarre thing, like, do we really care whether somebody submits a full application versus an affidavit,
Yeah,
that's really like a paperwork issue for the town to deal with, so. Okay, so we have, pardon me, interest 2, 4 with interest, 5, 6, and 7. Anything else? Let's just look on the, take a look on the volunteers.
Number 10, you're going to continue?
What's that, Sid?
Number 10?
I'm sorry, Mr. Joyner? Eliminating the 10-year expiration date of this exemption. Can we read the full thing on that? I'm not
No, I
sure.
said number 10.
10? You're interested in 10?
No, I said.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Eliminating the 10-year expiration of this exemption. I wonder why would it expire?
So did not eliminate
Do we
10
have the Cold War veterans one already?
We have it, yeah, we adopted it, but we didn't eliminate the exemption, so I guess it
Eliminate
expired.
Expiration.
Expiration, yeah. So that one would seem fair to, okay.
Oh, we say board resolution, we did that.
Yeah, this was one we actually
2016.
passed, but we didn't,
Oh, so we have to we have to eliminate that.
we'd have to do that, yeah.
Oh, I would have an interest in that.
Okay.
10 was affirmative to go forward with?
Yes, yeah, that's.
And what about this 11, the board resolution in 2004, we did that?
So that was one, right, yeah, that was I remember doing that, actually.
Does not contain the specific information as outlined above.
So this is a situation where we adopted a volunteer exemption, but we may not have adopted this particular piece where it would allow a volunteer, so they get it for life essentially if they provide 20 years of volunteer service. Otherwise, their exemption would stop when their volunteer service ends. So in other words, if you've been a firefighter for 20 years, then you would get the exemption for the rest of your life. If not, you would only get it as long as you remain in active service. What do people think of that?
I would be for that one.
Are you in favor of that, Ms. LaCara?
I would consider, can we like make a list of the ones we're considering?
Yeah, and we don't have to, really all we're doing at this stage is putting them up for a public hearing to get feedback from the public.
I would put it up, I mean,
Okay.
I just, right this second, I would like to think about it.
Okay, yeah, and this is, like I said, this is not a resolution, we have to try to narrow down this list to,
Yeah, I would include 11.
okay. Anyone, anything else? So right now, we would be scheduling public hearings on 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, and 11. Anyone else have any interest in any other ones? Okay. You got that, Ms. McLean? Okay, so the next step would be we'd schedule a public hearing, and each one, I guess, requires its own notice, correct? Correct. But we would do them on one date, right?
I'd like to add number 14 to the
14?
list, too, Mr. Ymca.
Okay. 14 is, allows the volunteer exemption to be granted to to the spouse for life after the volunteer gets more than 20 years. So that's, I guess, kind of a companion to 11. Anyone have any objections to adding that?
Like, if the volunteer passes away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what is?
Allows the exemption to be granted to the spouse of the volunteer after the volunteer gets 20 years of service. So the spouse would also get the exemption.
So if the spouse passed away, or
Well,
the volunteer passed away,
there's
the
a
spouse remained in the home.
I see, so which is different than, so there's one that talks about killed in the line of duty. So this is just, so that's 13, but 14 is just a general, whatever reason the exemption would just continue. So the person dies of natural causes,
Right.
and then it would just continue for the
spouse.
for the spouse.
I hate to add one, but, I mean, if we're going to add that, then shouldn't we be doing 13, where they're killed in the line of duty?
Yeah.
You really should.
Yeah,
because-
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, because it's up for discussion. so-
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems
Okay.
like we should if you're going to add.
Yeah,
I agree
they're-
with you, Nick.
Okay. All right, so it looks like we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 14 for consideration by the public. Okay? Good? Good, okay. All right, no vote required. All right, moving on to our personnel items. Personnel schedules 2, 9, 15, 16, and thank you, before we go forward, thank you to the board for going through that kind of dense material and taking the time. It's good work, so thank you. Personnel schedules 2, 9, 15, 16, 17, 20, and 22. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any question on these? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Information and reports are listed, including various postings and a memo from Ingerman Smith, and congratulatory letters to Walden High School students regarding National Merit Scholarship finalists. All right, weekly packet, upcoming, we have no committee meetings that have met. Future meetings are listed. October 27th, we will be here, and that is a nice meeting. That's our board recognition meeting. And then one meeting in each November and December. Comments by board members? Okay. Voice of the resident. Too many residents left. All right, with that, we will take a motion to adjourn. Oh, yeah. Motion to adjourn, Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Bronson. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.